Hi everyone, it's Jess and welcome to another video. So today I'm here to tell you about all of the books that I have read this year and my Goodreads goal, because obviously I haven't filmed in like 9 months, so I missed all of the 2017. These are my Goodreads goal videos and I haven't filmed any wrap-ups, so I thought I would tell you all of the books that I have read since the beginning of the year. My Goodreads goal was upped, well, I upped my Goodreads goal by 5 books at the beginning of the year. So last year I had 35 books to read, I read 35, so this year I've set it at 40. So up to this point I have now read 12 books, because I've done all of my coursework, my dissertation, my exams, etc. Haven't read as much as I wanted to, but I'm now off for the summer for 5 months. So that's when I plan to read the majority of my books. We're now 144 days into the year and I'm 3 books behind schedule, so hopefully I can catch those up as easily as possible. But I also need to remember that come September I'll go back to uni and might not be able to read as much, so I'm going to try and cram quite a lot of books in within the summer. But yeah, so far I've read 12. I'm going to tell you all of the books that I've read. I'm not going to go too much into descriptions because I feel like they're quite popular books, but if you want me to do any reviews on these videos, spoilery or non-spoilery, let me know down in the comments and I can try and do that video, because yeah, just describing all 12 books will just make this video so long. So I'm going to tell you these books within the order of how I read them, because I've written them all down and I can look on Goodreads to tell you. So yeah, these are the order that I actually did read them in. So I read Murder Mysteries by Neil Gaiman. This is a graphic novel and I finished this in January. It's a book who tells a story to another person about heaven. I found it quite interesting. It was a little bit weird and I gave this one 3 stars. The next book that I read and finished was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I feel like loads of people know about this book. I tried to read this book, as I've said in a few videos, last year and I didn't really like it, so I tried it again this year and read it along with the audiobook and I loved it. I would definitely recommend the audiobook and I gave this book 4 stars. And the next book I read in 2018 was Monstrous, and this is a graphic novel. I don't really know how to explain this, but it's about people who are like half-breeds and things and how they are treated in this particular world. It was a bit weird and a bit difficult to try and follow along. I believe I read this whilst I was trying to do other things with uni and I just got lost along the way. I feel like I'll probably need to read this again at another point. I did really enjoy it and the artwork is really good, so would definitely recommend it. But there was throughout the book they give descriptions of things, but it was confusing to try and keep up with all of the characters and try and remember all of the information, and I just got a bit lost and I don't really remember much about it, so I feel like I'm definitely going to have to read this again at another time. And I gave this book 3 stars. And the next book I read in 2018 was Furyborne by Claire Ledrand, and I did not really like this book at all. It's based on 2 different characters who are set in different time zones and it jumps between them and it's just confusing. I've read this with Jade from JD Ray Reads as a buddy read, and honestly I believe if I did not read this as a buddy read I would not have finished it. I just couldn't get along with it and the characters were a bit annoying, and there's loads of people getting loads of hype over this book at the moment because it's about to come out, or yeah, it has come out now, so it's published on the 22nd of May and quite a lot of people are reading it, and honestly I just didn't like this book at all. There were good parts in it. I feel like it was definitely very long for what it was. It could have been shortened down by a lot, and it's actually the first book in a trilogy, so yeah, I feel like this book could have been way shorter, but there were redeeming qualities within it, so I did give this book 3 stars, but thinking back on it I probably might change that to 2 because my thoughts on it afterwards are just not great, months later, so I think potentially I would drop that down to 2. And the next book I read was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I really enjoyed this book. This book was another buddy read with Jade, and yeah, to start with I found it really difficult to get into the book. The language in the book was just not really my thing and I just couldn't really get into it, but that kind of died down within the book, or maybe I just got used to it, I don't know. But yeah, this book I did really like the points that it made, and yeah, I feel like everybody knows about this book, and this book was a long time coming to read for me. I did own it for a little while, and yeah, I've really enjoyed reading it, and I gave this book 4 stars. And the next book I read was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I read this as a buddy read with Bex from Bex and Books. She read it way quicker than I did. I had other things to be doing at the same time and just couldn't keep up with the schedule that we'd set. It was only like a chapter a day, but I was just so busy and yeah, just couldn't get to it that quickly. I know Bex really enjoyed this book. I did really enjoy it. I do plan to read the next one. The love kind of triangle within it was not really my thing, and there was a few points in the book that I just didn't like at all, so that did drop the star rating down, but overall I did enjoy it. I didn't love it, so I gave this book 4 stars. And the next book I finished in 2018 was Stranger the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This book took me ages to read. It's obviously like a massive book, and I'm a very slow reader, and the language in it was slowing me down as well, but I did really enjoy it. It took me a long time to finish it, and I'm really excited for the new release at the end of the year. I believe it's coming out. Yeah, love this book. I feel like loads of people know about it and know the story, so I won't go too much into it. I did predict quite a lot of things that were going to happen in this book, so that did drop the star rating down, and the actual language and how long it took me, I dropped the star rating down for as well, so I gave this book 4 stars. The next book I read in 2018 was The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. Really enjoyed this book. Listened to this one on audiobook as well, loving the narrator, listening to the next 2 on audiobook as well, and yeah, just really enjoyed this book and gave this book 4 stars. The next book that I finished in 2018 was Obsidium by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I read along with the audiobook because I think that's the best way to read these books, because of all the mixed media. You don't miss out on that, and the audiobooks are amazing. They have multiple different narrators for different characters, and it just wraps you up in the story, and just yeah, really enjoyed this. Felt like it wrapped up the trilogy really nicely. I believe it is a trilogy. I don't know if another one's coming out, but I would definitely recommend reading along and listening at the same time, and I gave this book 5 stars. And the next book I read was Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I did also read along and listen to the audiobook. I felt like at the moment, with doing all of my exams and coursework and things, I did get into a little bit of a reading slump, so listening to audiobooks and reading along at the same time is a really good thing for me. That I feel like that has got me back into reading, which is really good. I read along at the same time as listening to audiobooks because I feel like I get distracted when listening to audiobooks if I'm not like reading along as well. I do try and do other things. I don't take note in the story, and yeah, it just doesn't go well for me, so reading along at the same time is really handy for me. I feel like everybody knows about this book, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but yeah, really enjoyed it. Read the next one as well, and I gave this one 5 stars. The second to last book that I've read so far in 2018, so the 11th book, is Akafas by Sarah J. Maas, so A Court of Frost and Starlight. Really enjoyed this book. Wasn't quite what I expected. If you want just to be within Valerius and listen to all of the characters and be within the whole like friend group and family within the inner circle, then this is the book for you. If you want something more plot driven, then yeah, this isn't it. There isn't a lot of plot that happens. The whole book spans over like 3 days. I didn't really feel like too much actually happened, but you do get to be within that group again, so it is enjoyable if that's what you really like. So yeah, and also I feel like more happened within the extra chapter sampler at the end, which tells you what's happening in the next trilogy kind of, which tells you like which characters are carrying on next. So I feel like more happened and you found out more within that section than you did actually in the whole book. I didn't really see how this book carried on. It kind of filled a gap, but I didn't really see how it like helped you know what was happening next. The chapter sample at the end did that more, or like the few chapters. I feel like this book was kind of a bit unneeded, but I did enjoy it anyway. I'm obviously going to buy the next trilogy. I don't know, I'm just a sucker for this world, so I will buy the next one and will read them. I'm not a huge fan on the characters that are carrying on next, and I gave this one 4 stars. The final book that I have finished so far in 2018 is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This book is brutal. to say the least. Loved every minute of it. Exactly the same as Scythe. I thought it was potentially going to take like a different route and I wasn't going to like it as much. I was a bit apprehensive before I started, but I did really enjoy this book and I would recommend it to everybody. Love it. It was, yeah, I would say it was better than Scythe. I gave Scythe 5 stars, so I also gave Thunderhead 5 stars, but if I could I would give it 6 if you compared both books. The ending to this book was just amazing. There's also going to be another book coming out as well, which I believe is called The Toll or something, and I believe that's coming out next year, so I'm very excited about that and I can't wait for that to happen. And I listened to this along with the audiobook as well. The narrator for this I really enjoyed, so yeah, I would definitely recommend listening to the audiobook if you're struggling getting into these books. Really enjoyed them and can't wait for the next one. So that is all of the books I have read so far this year, and hopefully I can hit my goal of 40 books. There's so many books I want to read, and I'm gonna try and read them like as fast as possible, as I have nothing to do now over the summer, so I have tons of time within the next 5 months to read and film and post and do all of the things I've wanted to do for like the past 9 months. But yeah, thank you so much for watching another video of mine and I'll see you soon in a new one. Bye guys!